Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion. Before we get started, let me first remind you that we are covered by the BIPCOT No Government License, which allows for the use and reuse of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. We're also protected by Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1969, which ruled that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is, quote, directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Therefore, everything said here on Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion is entirely hypothetical and for entertainment purposes, because that's all we're pretty much good for.
For entertainment purposes only, not considered to be a call to action.
Hashtag not a lawyer.
Yeah. Well, like I started that one out with it. I am not a lawyer.
Do not take legal advice from us. And if you do take legal advice from us, you're stealing.
If you take legal advice from us, you've got other problems you need to worry about.
I was going to say, if you take legal advice from us, I mean, man, you deserve what you fucking get.
Right.
That's a terrible idea.
Oh, so yeah, I think this is like 153 or something. I don't know.
It's 150 something.
Yeah. So, but we're gonna be talking about the troubles and hunger strikes and all that good stuff. But I want to jump into something else real quick because this is kind of important, and I did math, and math hurts my head, so I need to get it out of my head. FBI report marijuana arrest plunge more than 30% in 2020. This is an article from NORML, that is the National Organization for Recreational Marijuana Legalization, I think, something, whatever. But it's the estimated number of persons arrested in the United States for violating marijuana laws declined precipitously in 2020, according to data released this week by the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Report, police made an estimated 350,150 arrests for marijuana-related violations in 2020. That total is 36% decrease from 2019. When police made an estimate 545,602 marijuana-related arrests. Not since the early 1990s has the FBI reported so few marijuana-related arrests in a single year.
And that's still a huge fucking number.
See, yeah,
gigantic number.
Of those arrests for cannabis-related activities, some 91% were arrested for marijuana possession offenses only. Marijuana-related arrests represent 30.3% of all drug-related arrests in the United States in 2020. I did the math on this. 350,150 comes out to about one arrest every 100 seconds.
Jesus.
Every minute 40,
yes,
another person is arrested, and that's at the lowest rate
yes.
that we've seen.
Yes.
For a plant, for a goddamn plant, a natural thing that grows in the dirt.
Yeah, and 91% of those were for possession.
Yeah, just
Simple
for having
possession.
it.
Just for possession. Simple possession.
How dare you have a natural thing that grows in the dirt?
Yeah.
That can actually, benefit you in some of the bad health choices that you've made in your life.
Well, yeah, what's the line that it's a natural plant that grows in the dirt. You know what's not natural? 80-year-old dudes with hard-ons, but we got pills for that. We're dedicating all of our medical resources to keeping old dudes erect, but we're arresting people for owning something that grows in the dirt.
Yep.
Here's a line for it. This is a line for you. Marijuana arrests are down more than 50% from their peak in 2008, when police made over 800,000 marijuana-related arrests.
Jesus
God.
Christ.
Since 2012, 18 states and Washington, D.C. have enacted laws legalizing possession of small amounts of cannabis by adults.
Not Wisconsin, unfortunately. Every
Not
state
yet.
around us, every single state around us, and
I
Canada.
will say that there is a bipartisan bill currently sitting in the Wisconsin legislature, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, yes. Yeah, 350,150 arrests. So divided by 365, it comes out to 959.3 a day. Divided by 24 hours comes out to 39.97, so 40 a day. Divided by 60 comes out to about every 100 seconds. So yeah, every 100 seconds somebody gets arrested for possessing a little leafy green plant. So that is your freedom, America.
The tourists hate us for freedom, herder.
Thank you, War on Drugs, for absolutely ruining a large swath of the American population's life.
For winning the war on drugs.
Yeah, I think congratulations to drugs for once again winning the war on drugs.
Oh.
I want that on a patch so bad.
They have it on T-shirts and stuff.
I've seen it on T-shirts. I want it on a patch because, yeah.
I used to have a T-shirt that said, "I tried to say no to drugs, but they just wouldn't listen."
No. Yeah, I went through. I don't know if you guys did DARE. Did you guys do DARE?
Yeah.
DARE program, in fifth grade, fourth grade, fifth grade.
That made me insanely curious about drugs. That's all it accomplished.
All I learned are drugs are really expensive.
I remember in high school, I can remember the city brought in a guy who was recently released from prison after being a drug dealer for 10 years, and then he got caught. So he sat for, I think it was 10 years in prison, got out, and now he does motivational speaking to teenagers about the dangers of being a drug dealer. But the very first thing he says is, I'm going to be straight with you guys. There's good money in drugs.
Black markets are profitable.
Well, yeah,
black market's the only free market.
I just watched a thing on called the most dangerous city in America. It's talking about Camden, New Jersey, and they're talking about the organization that ran Camden that did during the crack epidemic that sold all this crack and stuff, and they were talking about they made and Camden isn't that much large. I mean, it's a little larger than La Crosse, but it's not that much larger. It's about 80,000 people, and La Crosse is like 60,000, and in 1 year the organization pulled in an estimated $400 million.
Wow.
Good God.
They're making government money.
Yeah, there were guys talking about how they only made they go out and they work in shifts, like 8-hour shifts, rotating for 24 hours. Two of them, and they would rotate these houses. They owned 30 houses, and they would rotate which house it was every day.
Mm-hmm.
At random, and then but they said that the dealers would get $5. They could keep $5 per 20 bag, so $15 back to the organization, $5 for them, and they were still $25,000 to $30,000 a day was what these dealers were still walking home with.
I'm in the wrong line of business.
Yeah. They were laughing about because they're like, I mean, this is the middle of the projects, but everybody's driving around in Mercedes and BMWs.
Yeah, they just turned the old Kmart here into a indoor cannabis grow, and I guess it's like the largest cannabis grow in Northern California.
Nice.
Yeah. They got fucking 200 solar panels on the roof already.
Jeez. Yeah, the old Kmart here is getting torn down and replaced by some retail and a bunch of apartment buildings. That's what they're about to do, which is hilarious because the building's like basically been condemned. It's falling apart. It's been vacant for so long. And there was going to be a U-Haul in there, and then the people that lived behind the lot, and it's a huge lot, the people that lived behind it complained because they didn't want all the construction noise and stuff from the remodel. So now it's just going to be torn down, and there's going to be like a 3-year building project there instead.
You can't always get what you want.
Yeah, they said I talked to the husband of the guy of the woman who's doing that project, and she said that, or he said that they calculated it would be $39 million to rehab the building so that they could turn it into something, and it's only $36 million for this project.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kmart that's in Mauston, just up the road here, that's been closed now for I think a year and a half. And there's nothing slated to go into that space. Festival Foods is part of that same building. So we'll see, but I would laugh my ass off if they just bulldoze that half of the building.
Yeah. All right, let's get one more article in, and then we'll jump on the hunger strike and the troubles. Yeah. I wish Derica was here just for this article. But cops get qualified immunity after jailing Florida man for "I eat ass" bumper sticker.
Florida man.
Well, that's not that different than the MILF Mobile up in Maine, where she's getting all kinds of shit.
Okay. A MILF Mobile that's cool, but this was a giant sticker on the back window.
Yeah, the
that
entire
said,
rear window of his
ass.
truck.
So what?
It's like, what is it, like a Silverado? I think it's a Silverado.
Either way,
so it's that whole huge back window on the Silverado. I eat ass.
I just wanted to sit in the courtroom when the prosecutor was like, "I eat ass" to the jury. The jury's like, "What?" Cops with a straight face on the stand saying, "I eat ass."
Yeah, if I was the defense attorney, I am getting every single person to say that phrase as many times as I can in court and quoting them later.
Just for the record, what did the sticker say again?
What did it say?
Can you speak up for the court reporter? Just say it a little bit louder.
Would you speak directly into your microphone, please? Eat ass.
Yeah, that
new life was injected into a free speech legal saga over "I eat ass" bumper sticker yesterday when a federal judge ruled that the expression might violate Florida's obscenity law and would thus be unprotected by the First Amendment. At the center of the odyssey is a Florida man, Dylan Shane Webb, who was pulled over in May 2019 after Columbia County Sheriff Deputy Travis English took exception to the sticker. Webb declined to censor it on the spot. His vehicle was searched, and he was subsequently arrested and booked in jail for, quote, obscene writing on vehicles and, quote, resisting an officer without violence.
So he had his vehicle searched because he had a fucking sticker.
The resisting in question refers to his refusal to alter the sticker's appearance at the officer's demand.
What the fuck?
Resisting?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot that we're required by law to obey every single dictate from a cop because, that's what a free country has.
Yeah.
Laws like that.
Those charges were dropped shortly thereafter, with the state attorney's office citing the First Amendment. But the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Florida ruled yesterday that the case is not so cut and dry, awarding qualified immunity to English and thus dooming the suit Webb brought against him for allegedly violating his free speech rights and for falsely arresting him.
Of course, qualified immunity.
Hold on. This is the quote. Quote, while Webb denies the sticker was in fact obscene, in interviews he repeatedly acknowledged the sexual nature of his sticker, wrote Judge Marcia Morales Howard in Webb v. English. Quote, a bit couched as an attempt at humor, showing that the notion that an erotic message was more than hypothetical, it could reasonably be viewed as a predominant message being communicated. If the sticker depicted a sexual act, it would be protected speech under the First Amendment only. if it had serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific views.
So
hold on. Hold on. If the sticker depicted a sexual act, it would be protected speech under the First Amendment only if it had serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific view or scientific value.
So wait a second. So
free speech only applies if it has serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. That's according to the judge.
That isn't how free speech works.
English as well as Corporal Chad Kirby, who via phone agreed Webb should be arrested, thus can't be held liable over the subsequent or the subjective determination and the subsequent arrest.
If you can be arrested for something that is subject to the opinions of a cop, and your right to free speech can be suppressed because of the opinions of a single individual, you do not have that right.
No,
you don't.
No,
and this is something we've talked about for a long time.
What if he just enjoyed eating, donkey, like he enjoyed horse meat?
Yeah, I mean, people do that in China and shit. Like,
they do that in Oklahoma too.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know.
I mean, McDonald's in the 90s did it. I mean, just
you remember that big dust up in China where it turned out that the horse meat that was being sold was actually cheaper fox meat, and everyone got up in arms, and Americans just all stared at their computer screens, confused.
Yeah. The law in question, Florida Statute 8470112, which prohibits, quote, any sticker, decal, emblem, or other device attached to a motor vehicle containing obscene descriptions, photographs, or depictions is unconstitutional on its face, according to Eugene Volk, professor of law for the University of California at Berkeley. Quote, this entire provision is therefore unconstitutionally overboard and thus invalid on its face, and thus can't be applied even to the possession of obscenity in public.
Yeah, I concur with that. Yeah, because otherwise you would not have the right to free speech. That's not free speech. That's government sanctioned speech at that point.
Yeah, morality isn't subjected to mob law. To mob rule, right?
Yeah,
right.
So by that manner, I can say that you must wear a mask sign are obscene or offensive.
I find that obscene, incredibly offensive, and therefore you must take it down because it's generally considered to be offensive.
Yes.
It's fucking ridiculous. I mean, so under that law, I could have a fuck Joe Biden sticker with like an elephant literally fucking Joe Biden.
It's fine as long as it's political.
And that's politically, that because it's political, that's protected speech. And I can have that on the back of my truck. But if I just say fuck and have that on the back of my truck, now it's obscene and I'm not allowed to have it.
Yes.
Right. That is exactly what they're saying.
Yeah, you could take an 86 Lincoln and put it on 24-inch tires and paint the rims to look like giant Fruit Loops and paint the car neon green.
That's pretty fucking obscene.
Yes, but that's okay. That's legal. But I eat ass is somehow obscene.
When you can legally do a nude protest, you can have a bunch of women doing a nude protest, and that's because it's political speech. It's therefore protected. But an I eat ass sticker on the back of a fucking truck.
The free the nipple protest. They happen every other day. I mean, you could be topless as long as you wear a mask.
The strip clubs that we covered during the pandemic. The strippers can strip, but they have to wear a mask.
You can be gyrating and sweating and giving lap dances, but you got to wear a mask.
Yes.
I mean, the law professor here is absolutely right. I mean, you're talking about it's an expressive act. He's putting that on there, whether he actually eats ass or not. I mean, if he doesn't actually eat ass, I guess you could sue him for false advertising. But other than that,
well,
I mean,
I think it's only false advertising if you receive compensation for it.
Well, that could be.
Because then you're technically frauding people.
Maybe he gets a blowy in with the agreement that then he's going to go ahead and liquor pooper, and then he doesn't. So technically, he did get compensation for it. I mean,
would that also fall under soliciting a prostitute because tit for tat?
No, I mean, no, there was no money exchanging hands.
No, but it is a barter. I mean, you are agreeing in terms to you do this, I do this.
Yeah, I can see. I don't know. I'm not a fucking lawyer.
Like, it's not a huge obscene thing. All it says is it's just on the back window. It says I eat ass.
But it doesn't even take up the whole window.
No, it's just this really
like
big. It's
3 inches.
Gotta be
It's
3 inches, isn't it?
3 inches tall, maybe a foot and a half wide, a foot wide.
It's pretty huge, and it's white, and he has a tinted rear window, so it stands out a bit. But I mean, I'm not going to pretend to understand the mentality of someone who throws that on their truck.
He's driving a Chevy, not a Ford, so I mean, it's not that obscene.
That's pretty fucking obscene. He's driving a shit brown Chevy. All right.
The fact that he's driving a Chevy is
I think they call those bronze.
Yeah.
It's shit brown.
It's shit brown. Because like
shit brown.
Because like my Ram is diamond almond pearl. And so or as most people call it, champagne.
That sounds like light shit brown.
Yeah, more or less.
But metallic.
Okay, it's glittery shit brown.
It's glittery shit brown. But that's just like
mine's just rust shit out Andrew's truck color.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's a Goldschlager shits. Is the color of my truck. That sounds like something that Dodge actually almost probably would have named a color in the 70s, actually.
Goldschlager shit brown?
Goldschlager shit brown. Well, it had like weird, like plum crazy and the goblin green and plum crazy purple and curious yellow, and my 71 Roadrunner was curious yellow. But like they had those weird fucking names, so it seems like something they would probably have used. It's like that for that Harvest Gold crap that they used all the time in the 70s.
Yeah.
Oh,
Goldschlager shit.
Oh, the Harvest Gold is so terrible.
It's so bad.
It's like the foam green, the sea foam green that they used to use also.
I saw a van the other day. It was like a 70s like van that the outside was that Harvest Gold, and when the guy opened the sliding door, the interior was covered in bright orange shag.
Oh
my God! I was like, oh Christ! Why?
There were babies made in that van.
Oh yeah, that's a baby.
Absolutely,
all the fucking day.
There were bad choices made in that van.
Sheets were evened out in that van, if you know what I mean. So I gotta even out the sheet.
I remember when was it Chrysler?
That driver eats ass.
Yes, that driver eats ass. I remember the first time I ever saw a PT Cruiser in that calf scour yellow. It's like, why? It looks like somebody literally held 3 calves over the top of your car, let them shit all over it, and then you let it dry, and okay, you're good. Proceed. It's like, no.
Yeah, see, like you're driving that van, and everyone just knows you eat ass. This guy, he's driving a vehicle that isn't quite that horrific, so he's got to make sure that he advertises to everybody. So that
the fact that it's a Chevy is half the problem. I mean,
and he could have just had like a sticker that said "sexual deviant" across the back of the window, and that wouldn't have been considered obscene.
Vote libertarian.
Yeah, you could just had a Libertarian Party sticker on the back window, and everyone already knows the way that's going.
Oh.
Not only does he eat ass, but that's the one good thing he can possibly pull off in bed.
No, ma'am. The fedora stays on.
Wow.
When she asks you to take off your light up Skechers in bed, don't ask me to stop being a man, all right?
He's wearing the fedora, licking her asshole. She farts in his face. The hat comes off.
The neck beard flaps in the wind. Oh,
there's so many libertarians listening to this right now who are like, "Fuck you guys."
This is why we're not invited to the libertarian conventions.
I know.
Only the redacted guys like us.
I was gonna say the redacted guys seem to like us.
That's all right. They're better people anyway.
Oh,
they're not going to sit there and go, "Let's fix the system from the inside."
Oh, that dude's sticker says he'll fix your system from the inside.
Got that Gene Simmons tongue. He'll hit the reset button. There's an image.
All night.
There's an image you can't get out of your head. Christopher's dying.
Yep, it's there. It's in my fucking head now. I feel like that's revenge for the Nancy Pelosi thing, though. So
I was waiting. God damn it.
Our new listeners are very confused. Our longtime listeners are also reacting the same way that Chris does. And going, no, why, God, no.
Why would you ever bring that back up?
Go back and listen to the previous catalog if you're a new listener. You'll know when you get to that point.
And you'll probably never listen to us again.
You'll never listen to us again.
No. Yeah, I guess let's get into the meat and taters, which
or
guess taters.
It's not an Irish joke then. The potatoes. That's the direction we're gonna go. Oh, I see. No, no, I get it. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, Irish potatoes. Oh, diddly-dee.
So, yeah, let's. What is today? Today is the 40th anniversary of the end of the Mays prison provisional IRA hunger strike.
The last of it's the last of it. It's the ultimate tragic culmination of the
after I think 10 people starved to death during the hunger strike.
Mm-hmm. The most famous one that everybody knows, of course, is Bobby Sands.
Yeah, he was the first one. He was the first one. I mean,
at least a dozen girls of him.
Got elected to parliament while in prison on his deathbed during a hunger strike. So that'll 2 cents for you. But
yeah.
So we can't talk about the hunger strike without talking about what led up to the hunger strike. And Andrew knows more than I because
I learned about it in school and
while you were over there.
Yeah. So it was the middle of the Troubles. And
what were the Troubles?
So the Troubles were basically a very, very active time for the RA, for the Irish Republican Army. The true RA and the provisional IRA, although the Provos were kind of the big ones at the time. The IRA is notoriously factional. But it was
worse than the Libertarian Party.
Oh yeah, right now there's the Trues.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a lot of libertarian jokes while you're talking about this because the Libertarian Party in a lot of ways pretends to be to want to be like the Sinn Féin and the IRA and the Provos and
because right now what I know of for factions, there's the News, the Trues, the Provos that are still around, the Continuity. There's at least one more that I can't think of for factions, although they are all starting to work together.
That's about fucking time.
Unity.
Yeah. Yep. And once they all start working together, and it's mostly because of Brexit and all of that horseshit.
Well, I would say something along the lines of shout out to Magnus: unity or die.
Yep. Yeah, Jason and I were just on his podcast this week.
Yep.
That's why I brought
check that with Lauren Liberty. That was a fantastic episode. And it was like an hour and 20 minutes or 25 minutes or something like that, and it literally felt like 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, I mean we could have gone for 3-4 hours. I have a distinct feeling. But yeah, so the Troubles, it's the middle of the Troubles, and if you're too young to remember the Troubles, ask your parents, kids. But it's the middle of the Troubles. In '76, there's starts to be a bunch of protests, and the reason that all these protests really start is because up until that point, IRA prisoners that the British government captured were considered special categories. So they were considered prisoners of war rather than just regular criminals. And in '76, the British government withdraws that status and says, no, you're not. We're not at war. You're not a recognized governmental entity that's at war with us or anything. So therefore, you're not a political prisoner. So we don't have to give you this special status, which allows them, like, under UN treaties, if you're considered a prisoner of war, you get like access to media, you get access to outside medical care and review, things like that. So you get a lot more out of being special category than being a regular prisoner. Because a regular prisoner, I mean, you're treated the same as somebody who shot somebody. You're not treated any different, even though what you were doing was for a political aim and you considered yourself at war with an occupying power in the case of the IRA. So in '78, they had done the dirty protest in the maze, which is Longkesh.
The dirty protest, basically when they lost that POW status, they were forced to wear the regular prison garb. Right, the dirty protest was a protest against that, in which they refused to wear the regular prison garb because they wanted to be able to wear their own clothes, which they weren't allowed under the prison rules. So they literally just wore their blankets and nothing else.
And the reason it's called the dirty protest is because they refused to wash at all, and they proceeded to cover the walls of their cells with shit.
Yes,
ritual shit.
And there's a lot of people who are like, oh, just let them starve and blah blah blah. But like, when people are put into this sort of situation, or when they act in this sort of way, number one, it being out of character for the standard mainstream person, it attracts attention, and it also attracts a lot of empathy. Regardless of what they did, it creates a lot of empathy. Like you see even today, like people that are against the death penalty, no matter what the person did, they're against the death penalty because humanity and humane treatment and all this other stuff. So when a person does something like this, like they did during the dirty protest, or later when we talk about the hunger strike, it creates a lot of emotional pressure and a lot of negative publicity for the people that are allowing this to happen. So it's an effective form of protest if they have access to the media. If you don't have access to the media, then it's a harder form of protest.
Yeah. Well, and remember, I mean, the purpose of all of this really is to get pressure put on the British government from the United States, because if there's one country that has always had Ireland's back, because there are more Irish here than there are in Ireland, it's the U.S. And the U.S. had already been watching, with kind of, rapt attention, watching the Troubles as it was. And so these prisoners are already in Longkesh, which is, one of the worst prisons you can possibly get thrown into at this time, since been shut down. But it's a maximum security prison. So you're basically just in your cell all the time. You don't get out. And you're watched all the time. The lights are on all the time. It's already brutal, even if you're a POW. So to suddenly be denied that POW status, and now there aren't even different standards of treatment, because there are things like that you are allowed to do to your own prisoners that you're not allowed to do to POWs. Things like denying exercise and denying movement and things like that you can do as punishment to your own prisoners, regular criminals, but you're not allowed to do to POWs. And so when that status goes, these guys are now facing the reality that they could be killed in prison riots and things by these guards who already hate them by the sheer nature of the fact that they're Irish. They already don't like them. So they start doing the dirty protest. there's a really good film about Bobby Sands out there. I think it's just called Sands. That shows exactly what they did and everything else. And so if you want to see a prison cell streaked with poop, feel free. But in 1980 is when the first hunger strike happens. That only lasts 60 days, less than 2 months. It's less than 2 months.
Yeah.
That one lasts before it ends. And then you get to the second one in 81, which is what this is the 40th anniversary of the end of.
When this one kicks off in February 81, the dirty protest, they stopped the dirty protest because they didn't want to distract from the hunger strike. You know, they wanted the media attention on what these guys were going through. So, you know, there's some coalition, some congruity among the IRA at that point.
Yeah, well, and remember too that this is all in opposition to the great war criminal Margaret Thatcher.
Oh, that fucking she has a quote later in one of these articles that just kind of makes you want to throw things.
I have a poster somewhere and I haven't put it up in my new place yet. And I know I've been here like 4 years, but I haven't put it up yet. But it's an original poster that I got in probably like 94, 95. It's a big poster. It says wanted for war crimes. It's a picture of Margaret Thatcher and it says, Margaret Thatcher. And if seen, call your local IRA representatives and stuff. And it's an original poster from the mid 90s. She's regarded as a war criminal in most of Ireland and by most of the Irish, even Irish who don't want to return to the Troubles, who don't really support the IRA. She's still considered a war criminal because of things like what she did at Longcash and because of the way that she treated the Irish. She had absolute contempt for the Irish. So like when she died and everyone was all, oh, she was such a great lady. So you drive yourself to work, do you? In your car there?
Yeah. Take that comment for what you will.
Just a question. Just an innocent question.
I'm just here for the history lesson at this point. So.
Yes. Well, Bobby Sands, and Bobby Sands, he's the first one to die. If you've seen photos of him, there are photos of him out there. He looks so bad by the time he dies. I mean, like this guy,
he lost his eyesight and hearing from the hunger strike. Like he knew he was going.
Yeah. He was well aware that he was dying. As were the rest of them. They started once he went too. They started dropping like flies right about then. Mm-hmm. All 10 of them. But Sam's funeral was attended by 100,000 people.
Yes.
It was massive.
Imagine that, 100,000 people. Oh, and what was he in prison for? Possession of a firearm.
Yep.
No.
That's and that's still something that people that raw guys get locked up for a lot is having guns pretty frequently, even though you see them running around with all the guns. Like you'll see videos of when they do salutes at at Republican gatherings and things, they'll do rifle salutes and they're carrying like AR-180s or FALs or M4s, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's actually all still illegal.
Yeah. Just to kick this off real quick, the hunger strike, what they were demanding. This is all they had five key demands, and it was the right to not wear a prison uniform because they weren't guilty of crimes. They were political prisoners or prisoners of war as they saw it. So they wanted to wear, their uniforms.
Well, yeah, if you're a POW, you're allowed to continue to wear your uniform.
Yeah.
Well,
the right to not do prison work. Forced labor at that time was a big deal.
Oh, yeah. There's mines all over Britain that used slave labor.
Yeah. The right of free association with other prisoners and to organize educational and recreational pursuits. That doesn't sound too out of place. The right to one visit, one letter, and one parcel per week. Right? They were denied letters and visitors and things like that.
Yeah, because and that's the same reason they're denied interaction with prisoners who weren't IRA prisoners, was because the British government didn't want their propaganda to be spread any further than them in the prison system, and they knew that if there's any fertile place for rebellion, it's going to be in a prison.
And then the full restoration of remission lost through the protest. So it means that they wanted anything that any debt that incurred with the prison or whatever else during the protest, they wanted that wiped off.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not hearing anything that really stands out as unrealistic.
Well, unrealistic to you now. In 1981, Margaret Thatcher, that was different.
Well, even to a normal person in 81, that's not unrealistic.
Yeah.
It doesn't
you're talking about
seem
Thatcher.
Unreasonable. Well, yeah, it doesn't seem unreasonable to you because you live in the United States and grew up here. In Ireland, especially then, at the hands of the British, perfectly reasonable was, Bloody Sunday.
Yeah.
So, it was, especially for Margaret Thatcher, it's a pretty unreasonable thing, is the way she's seeing it. And keep in mind that none of that's changed, because not that long ago, another British politician called the Irish animals.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Okay. I have choice words that I will not say on the air because I don't want to get shot or red flagged.
Shakira.
So, timeline of the hunger strike. February 5th, in a statement, Republican prisoners warned that there would be further hunger strikes unless they were awarded special category status by the British government. Right? They wanted to be classified as prisoners of war. They didn't want to be classified as, basic prisoners. Prisoners of war. They saw themselves as in a war. They were active war participants in a war against England. So they wanted that prisoner of war status. That is March 2nd, Republican prisoners call off the blanket and no wash protest as to not distract attention away from the hunger strike. That was the dirty protest we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so is this chronological? Because there's a statement that Danny Morrison issued during the protest that covers their demands.
I'll drop the link I got.
Okay, so he said, we have asserted that we are political prisoners, and everything about our country, our arrests, interrogations, trials, and prison conditions show that we are politically motivated and not motivated by selfish reasons or selfish ends. As further demonstration of our selflessness and the justness of our cause, number of our comrades, beginning today with Bobby Sands, will hunger strike to the death unless the British government abandons its criminalization policy and meets our demands for political status.
So, all right, yeah, I dropped the link in our Telegram chat for you. That's for the timeline that I have. It's an Irish Times article.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna go down this, and you guys can jump in whenever. Then March 3rd, Secretary of State Humphrey Atkins read a statement in the House of Commons reiterating there would be no political status for the prisoners, hunger strike or not.
Yeah, they doubled down, and they, and I do want to mention too that unlike the first hunger strike where everyone started hunger striking simultaneously, with the second one, they did it staggered. So Bobby was first, and then another, and then another, and they were staggered out so that it would last as long as possible without people dying.
Yes. March 15th, Francis Hughes joined Sands on the hunger strike. March 22nd, Raymond McCreish joined the hunger strike. March 26th, Sands was nominated as a candidate for by-election. Other nationalist candidates will withdraw their applications for candidacy in the following days. So he gets nominated for office, and the other nationalist the other IRA candidates at the time were like, Bobby can have it.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's because the Frank McGuire, who was Farmington and South Tyrone MP, died. So the what's interesting is that Sands initially was looking at having to argue with and go up against Noel McGuire, who's the brother of Frank, and the IRA may have suggested very strongly to Noel that might not be a good idea, lad.
Yes. April 9th, Sands was elected MP. Following a final count on April 11th, Sands obtained 30,492 votes, and Harry West, the Unionist candidate, attained 29,046. So he won by 500 votes.
Well, and keep in mind too that it's important to also mention that Harry West was the Ulster Unionist Party,
which was
so the feckin' oranges is what that is. The Ulster Unionist Party is what Sinn Féin is to the IRA, is what Ulster Unionist Party is to the UVF.
Okay. April 20th, 3 TDs visit Sands in prison, after which the TDs call for urgent talks with the British government. TDs, I don't know what TDs are.
I don't know. I'm not looking at what you're looking at. So
3 TDs visit Sands in prison, after which the TDs call for urgent talks with the British government. April 21st, at a press conference in Saudi Arabia, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher declared that the British government would not meet with the three TDs. Further, she stated, quote, "We are not prepared to consider special category status for certain groups of people serving sentences for crime. Crime is crime is crime. It is not political."
Looks like TD stands for Tiakta Daya.
Oh, Tiakta?
Yes.
Translation, please.
I fucking don't know. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many political positions are in Irish in Ireland that I have no idea what they actually mean?
Okay.
I have no fucking I learned a bunch of Gaelic that I've since forgotten chunks of. But even people who went through, because to graduate high school we have to know Gaelic, there's a test that we have to. I know people who graduated in Ireland who have not a fucking clue. They're like, it's the whatever, you know what I mean? It's
yeah. April 23rd, Marcella Sands, Bobby's sister, made an application to the European Commission on Human Rights, claiming that the British government violated articles of the European Convention on Human Rights with their treatment of Republican prisoners. April 28th, a private secretary of Pope John Paul II visited Sands in prison to ask him to end the strike. The next day, a private secretary of Pope John Paul II, Friar John McGee, later bishop, visited friends in prison to ask him to end the strike. The next day, McGee met Humphrey Atkins in an effort to create negotiations between the British government and the hunger strikers before seeing Sands again. McGee also gave Sands a gold cross as a gift from the Pope.
Which, as I recall, he was wearing when he died, too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
May 4th, European Commission on Human Rights announced that it has no power to proceed with the case brought by Marcella Sands against the British government. Which I think is technically bullshit.
Well, here's where it is and is not. So, if Northern Ireland truly is part of Ireland and Britain is an occupying power, then therefore they do have jurisdiction because it's a true war. However, if Northern Ireland is part of Britain, then it is an internal matter and nothing that the UN can get involved in.
Okay.
So the question is, which one is it? And by declaring that they had no jurisdiction, the UN was tacitly acknowledging that the British were legally occupying Northern Ireland.
Okay. May 5th, Bobby Sands dies after 66 days on a hunger strike. He was 27 years old. So he started May 1st. This is or March 1st. This is May 5th, 66 days. So he went 66 days without eating, which is phenomenal mental fortitude.
Yeah, because all he had to do to end his suffering was eat.
Like, and not only that,
and
but like
being given food.
Like he lost his eyesight, he lost his hearing. Like he was to that point where he was suffering that much, and he continued on with it because he believed in the cause that much.
Because some things are worth more than you are.
Yes.
Yep.
May 7th, an estimated 100,000 people attended Sands' funeral in Belfast.
Well, when Sands' death was announced, there was straight up riots in Belfast.
He was well liked
across Ulster. Yeah, he was really well liked. He was really well known, and it was another innocent Irishman being murdered, as far as anyone was concerned, by an occupying power. That's because they had been slaughtering people left and right anyway. So it's just another one. So they rioted like hell.
Yeah. So this is like just under a month since he was elected by the people, also, right? So that's even more credence to who this guy was.
The British, I think he's British, journalist Humphrey Atkins, who is the one who said that the hunger strikes hyper radicalized even further the Irish nationalist cause and blah blah blah. He issued a statement at the time about Sands that said he had committed suicide, quote, under the instructions of those who felt it useful to their cause that he should die.
Yeah, there's a BBC article written on May 1st of this year, which is the 40th anniversary of the week that he died. And it says, Bobby Sands, the hunger strike that changed the course of North Ireland's conflict. So it became a rallying point, a rally cry.
Oh yeah, there's in Belfast, there's a famous huge mural on the end of a building facing the street of Bobby Sands, and that's not the only one. There's a lot of murals. Actually, Belfast is kind of known for its murals, to be honest with you. There's a lot of them. But that one in particular, I think just about everybody knows. Like if you go on Google and you Google like Belfast mural and search it, it's gonna be that one.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the first one you see.
So May 8th, Joe McConnell joined the hunger strike to replace Sands. May 12th, Francis Hughes dies after 59 days on hunger strike. He was 25 years old. May 14th, Brandon McLaughlin joined the hunger strike to replace Hughes. Yeah, McLaughlin.
Yeah, there's Kieran Doherty, Petty Agnew in June.
Raymond McCresh and Patsy O'Hara died after 61 days on hunger strike. This is May 21st. They were 24 and 23 years old, respectively. Cardinal Thomas Ofiaiach, Ofiaiach, the Catholic primate of all Ireland, criticized the British government's attitude towards the strike.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say is in June, Kieran Doherty and Petty Agnew were actually elected to Cavan Monaghan and Louth. So they were also elected to Irish Parliament. And Joe McDonnell almost was elected.
Yeah, May 22nd, Kieran Doherty joined the hunger strike. May 20th, McLaughlin, who joined the strike 12 days before, was taken off the strike after he experiences internal bleeding. May 28th, Martin Hershen joined the hunger strike to replace McLaughlin. Thatcher visited Northern Ireland and called the strike the, quote, last card of the IRA. Yeah.
Well, and keep in mind, while this is happening, right, the British government passes the Representation of the People Act, which does not allow prisoners to contest by-elections. So they had contested the by-elections for Fermanagh and South Tyrone, which were due to take place because Sands died. And so they needed a new representative. Well, the prisoners were possibly going to contest it, so they passed this law that basically says, nah, these people don't.
Yeah. May 29th, the names of 4 hunger strikers as well as 5 other Republican prisoners were put forth as candidates in the Irish general election. June 3rd, the Irish Commission for Justice and Peace issues a statement on the hunger strike. The organization established by the Catholic Bishops' Conference asked for improvements in the prisons, but denied political status.
Yeah, I mean, and keep in mind during all of this too, especially in like July and stuff, Father Fall is meeting with the families of a bunch of the prisoners and stuff, and they're and working with Jerry Adams. If you don't know who Jerry Adams is, go ahead and look him up.
Yeah.
They're
June 8th, Tom McLuey joined the hunger strike. June 11th, Ireland held a general election. Hunger striker Kieran Dougherty was elected as an anti-H block TD for Cavan Monaghan, and fellow prisoner Paddy Agnew was elected in Ludith. Charles Hoadley the chance to form a government and establish or enabling Fine Gael and Labour to form a government, while Garrett Fitzgerald, I can't pronounce these Irish words. The following day, the British government published proposals to change the representation of the People Act, disallowing prisoners to stand as candidates in elections. So after they won, the British government is like, no, we're going to disallow prisoners.
Yeah, that was the point of that act. I mean, it's yeah, and
So
I mean, you know,
that word that you couldn't pronounce, Jason, is the equivalent of the prime minister.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, the TD, or is that what you're asking about? Or
no,
okay,
it's Taoiseach.
Taoiseach.
Taoiseach. I don't know, whatever.
Our current Taoiseach is a very small little man who looks incredibly Irish.
Does he have Lucky Charms?
The man is like if you wanted to picture the sweetest Irish little man you possibly could, like that's our current president.
June 15th, the Sinn Féin issued a statement declaring new prisoner would join the hunger strike each week. Paddy Quinn joins the hunger strike. And then June 22nd.
Really last real long.
Yeah, then June 22nd, Michael Devine joined the hunger strike. June 29th, Lawrence McCowan joined the hunger strike. The following day, the British government released a statement declaring once again that it would not grant special category status to Republican prisoners.
Yeah, and that's Margaret Thatcher's whole, I'm not going to negotiate with terrorists.
Yes.
Bullshit. Even though they're not fucking terrorists.
Yeah, July 5th, a deal was possibly on the table between Sinn Féin and British government, giving the hunger strikers most of their demands. Sinn Féin rejected the deal, however. This is contested. Controversy surrounds the event as some Republicans claim to have the document from British government setting out proposals to meet many of the demands.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sinn Féin, I mean, the hunger strikes are largely what made Sinn Féin a mainstream political party, too. So I think that the British, they even may have been saying, oh, yeah, we'll totally meet these. But Sinn Féin's going, nah, I don't think you are.
Yeah. Sinn Féin is what the Libertarian Party should be. But most people don't want to have that discussion.
If anyone wants to contribute to Sinn Féin, by the way, and you're in the United States, you can check out Irish Northern Aid.
July 8th, Joe McDonald dies after 61 days on hunger strike. He was 30 years old. The following day, Patrick McGowan joined the hunger strike to replace McDowell. July 10th, funeral for Joe McDowell takes place. The British government moved to arrest an IRA firing party at the funeral and seized a number of weapons. Rioting ensued.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. So
they won't even allow the IRA to bury their people in peace.
Oh, the UVF's just as bad. I mean, the UVF will bomb and has bombed several IRA funerals, one of which I was at when I was young. They will bomb them. But that's what I was talking about. Like when they do the rifle salutes, right? They're going to bring out various firearms, all of which are full auto. Because as long as it's illegal anyway, why not?
Yep.
So, they'll bring out the guns and they stand and fire, and it's a full military drill, and it's the military rifle salute. And all these guys were trying to do was do a 21-gun salute to a fallen comrade, and the cops show up. Because fact the rousers.
Yes.
But they show up and they arrest these guys in full view of thousands and thousands and thousands a very pissed off Irish.
At a fucking funeral.
Yeah. And so, there was a fucking riot.
I would have been more concerned if there hadn't been a fucking riot.
Yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot to get people in Northern Ireland to riot, to be honest with you. But
which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Oh, it's Wednesday. Firebomb. But
I don't want to fucking go to work.
Oh, there's.
You gotta say, oh, it's Bloody Wednesday, and then be like, Bloody Wednesday.
Yeah, that's possible.
I don't think Bloody Wednesday is really a thing. But
it's not a thing. No, there's
it doesn't
Bloody
matter.
Sunday. There's actually 2 Bloody Sundays, and there's a Bloody Tuesday. No, you'll see a lot of rioting too. Like right now, if you pay any attention to Irish news.
The anti-vax protests.
Woo! Well, not even just the anti-vax protests, but remember with Brexit, that put the Northern Irish question into a bit of doubt. And of course, the easiest solution to this whole border thing would have been, I don't know, to put the border in the Irish fucking sea. But they didn't. So, and then now you have
to harden the border, which they said they weren't going to do.
Which is a direct violation of Good Friday in '97.
Yes.
That is a direct violation of Good Friday, hardening that border.
Yeah. July 13th, Martin Hershen died after 46 days on hunger strike. He was 29 years old. The following day, Matt Delvin joined the hunger strike to replace Hershen. July 15th. Ooh, this is a good one. July 15th. Secretary of State Humphrey Atkins announced that the British government had invited representatives of the International Committee of the Red Cross to review prison conditions in Northern Ireland. Over the following days, the representative toured the prisons and met Atkins. The hunger strikers rejected attempts by the Red Cross to act as mediators between them and the British government. And that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing because, again, they saw this as a war, right? Like the English are an occupying force. This is our land. These are our homes. These are our castles, and they're occupying it, right? So it's a matter of principle to them, and it's between us and them, us and them, us and them. They invaded. You don't bring a third party into that, which is a very principled stance. Again, I mean, these guys are on a hunger strike. They're dying for their beliefs. You're not going to bring a third party into that.
Well, they wouldn't have been willing to even, do what they were doing when they got arrested if they weren't willing to die for the cause. Mm-hmm. So they've already made that decision. There's a famous raw recruitment poster that says, so that, because my father couldn't, so that my children won't have to.
That's it goes along with the Pain quote, if there's be trouble, let it be in my day, so that my children may know peace.
Yeah.
I think that's a Pain quote.
I'll find out.
It's either Pain or Adams. I think it's Pain or Patrick.
To the Googles.
Yeah. Either way.
We're all sitting here with the compendiums of all human knowledge easily accessed.
Yeah, Jason got one right. Jason got one right.
Yay.
If there must be trouble, let it be in my day, that my child may have peace. And this single reflection, well applied, is sufficient to awaken every man to duty.
Yes. July 18th, clashes with Republican demonstrators and Garda, G-A-R-D-A-I. Garda. What's the Garda?
Garda are the Irish cops.
Oh, okay.
National cops.
Clashes with Republican demonstrators and bludgies following a demonstration outside the British Embassy in Dublin. An estimated 200 people were injured. They don't fuck around with their protest.
Nope. No, that's what I was saying too. Is like there was a protest just a few months ago in Ireland where there's the video of it is just great because there's these big, the big, like essentially an MRAP, several of these MRAPs from the Garda sitting there, and there's just these people lobbing Molotov cocktails onto their windshields and stuff, and they're just backing down the street.
Oh, I am moderately erect right now. July 29th, representatives of Sinn Féin and the Irish Republican Socialist Party visit the hunger strikers, with the political group suggesting that the hunger strikers suspend their efforts for 3 months to allow review of prison reforms. The strikers reject the idea.
Yeah, the Irish Republican Socialist Party is the Sinn Féin's equivalent for the INLA. So the Irish was it the Irish National Liberation Army? I believe they're the socialist, hardcore socialist version of kind of the IRA.
July 31st, the parents of Paddy Quinn asked for medical intervention to stop their son's strike. Right, so now it's getting really serious.
Yeah, well, and it's starting to break down the protest when things like that happen.
Yeah,
but the very next day.
Yeah, August 1st, Kevin Lynch dies after 71 days on hunger strike. He was 25 years old, so he was on it the longest so far, 71 days. And then August 2nd,
that is a long goddamn day.
Yeah,
with no food. No
on August
food.
2nd, Kieran Doherty died after 73 days on the hunger strike. He was 25 years old. The following day, Liam McCloskey joined the strike.
Yep.
August 8th, Thomas McKelly died after 62 days on hunger strike. He was 23 years old. The following day, outside the prison, riots continued and 2 Catholic men were shot to death. August 10th, Patrick.
Don't forget the Catholic men are the IRA side.
Yes. August 10th, Patrick Sheehan joined the hunger strike. August 17th, Jackie McMullen joined the hunger strike.
Yeah, it should also be noted that the day that Michael Devine died, sans his election agent, so the guy is running in his place, Owen Cairn, won from a South Tyrone.
Nice. August 20th, Michael Devine died after 60 days on hunger strike. He was 27 years old. Devine was the last prisoner to die as part of these protests. The family of Patrick McGowan agreed to medically intervene to save his life after 42 days on hunger strike. Owen Cairn, Bobby Sands' campaign manager, won the by-election. A few days later, Sinn Féin announced it would contest all Northern Irish elections in the future. August 24th, Bernard Fox joined the hunger strike. August 31st, Hugh Carville joined the hunger strike. September 4th, the family of Matt Delman asked to medically intervene to save his life after 52 days on hunger strike. September 6th, the family of Lawrence McCowan asked to medically intervene to save the life of 70 days on a hunger strike. The INLA announced it would no longer replace men on the hunger strike at the same rate as before. John Pickering joined the strike the next day. September 13th, James Pryor replaced Atkins as Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. The following day, Gerard Hodgkins joined the strike. September 21st, James Devine joined the hunger strike, and the SDLP openly condemned the strike. That's a little clue into what went down there.
Yeah, the SDLP again, like I said, not part of the IRA.
September 24th, Bernard Fox ended his strike on the 32nd day of his fast as his health deteriorated rapidly. 2 days later, Liam McCloskey ended the strike on his 55th day after his family stated they would call for medical intervention to save him when he became unconscious. And then October 3rd, the Republican hunger strike ended.
Yeah, because it was at the time that McCloskey goes unconscious, it becomes incredibly clear that all of the families are going to begin intervening now.
Yeah, once they lost consciousness, they're no longer in control of themselves, and people were able to intervene at that point.
Yeah. So that's at that point the hunger strike is definitely coming to an end. Yeah, 3:15 p.m. the 3rd of October.
Yep.
However, 3 days later, Pryor announced partial concessions anyway.
No.
To them, the right to wear their own clothes at all times. The only one of the 5 demands that weren't met was the right not to do prison work.
Yeah, they were still forced to.
Well, they were
technically
for a little bit, but in 1983 that all ended because the prisoners then proceeded to sabotage all of the workshops, and some of the prisoners escaped.
Simple sabotage.
So didn't have to do it anyway.
Yeah, there's a statement released afterwards. The prisoners issued a statement in which they said that they had been, quote, robbed of the hunger strike as an effective protest weapon, principally because of the successful campaign waged against our distressed relatives by the Catholic hierarchy, aided and abetted by the Irish establishment, the SDLP, and the Free State political parties, which took no effective action against the British government and did nothing or did everything to encourage the feeling of hopelessness among our kith and kin. The success of this campaign meant that the British government could remain intragenous as the crucial political pressure which flows from the threat of death and actual death of a hunger strike was subsiding and not increasing.
Intransigent.
Yeah. I'm public school. I don't know fancy words.
Means unmoving.
Yeah. The prisoners reaffirmed their opposition to the criminalization and said that the sacrifice of their 10 dead comrades in the face of British say the word again. Intransigence had, quote, given us international political recognition and has made the cause of the Irish freedom an international issue. It has increased support at home and abroad for Irish resistance and has shown that the oppressed nationalist people and that the political prisoners are one. It's a powerful statement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it said we unified. You guys tried to fuck us.
And it just brought us closer together.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because so the dead of the hunger strike were Bobby Sands, who was IRA on the 5th of May, Francis Hughes, IRA, 12th of May, Raymond McCreesh, IRA, 21st of May, Patsy O'Hara, who was INLA, 21st of May, Joe McDonnell, IRA, 8th of July, Martin Herson, IRA, 13th of July, Kevin Lynch, INLA, 1st of August, Kieran Doherty, IRA, 2nd of August, Thomas McElwee, IRA, 8th of August, Michael Devine, INLA, 20th of August.
I take my hat off to these men.
They have they have a level of dedication that is absent in today's society.
There were three INLA members, and the rest were IRA. I don't know what within the IRA the affiliations were of most of them. Sands, I know, was a provo. I don't know the rest of them. There were other participants, though. In it, I think we covered it. Brendan McLaughlin, Patty Quinn, Lawrence McCown, Pat McGowan, Matt Devlin, Liam McCloskey, Patrick Sheehan, Jackie McMullen, Bernard Fox, Hugh Carville, John Pickering, Gerard Hodgins, and James Devine.
Yeah, Bobby Sands, in his prison diary on the first day of the hunger strike, he wrote, quote, I am dying not just to attempt to end the barbarity of H Block or to gain rightful recognition of political prisoner, but primarily because what is lost in here is lost for the Republic and those wretched oppressed whom I am deeply proud to be known as the risen people.
I mean, that's the level of dedication of those guys is something that everybody's got to strive towards, because that is unwavering dedication that you would just all you have to do to fix what's going wrong with you is eat.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you have to do, and you refuse to do it because eating would be bowing to them, and they flat out refuse to do it.
Heavy stuff. But yeah, today is the 40th anniversary of the end of that, and it felt like something that we should talk about.
Well, yeah, and keep in mind that even the guys that survive, they suffered serious psychological, neurological, digestive, physical, visual effects and participation. Because Patty Quinn lasted 47 days. Lawrence McCown was 70 days.
Yeah.
The Patrick Sheehan, Liam McCloskey were both 55 days. Like, you don't starve for that long and not suffer some sort of permanent harm.
Right.
We got people shooting other people because they didn't get dipping sauces in their chicken nuggets in the drive-thru. And these motherfuckers went 70 days without food for a cause that they believed in wholeheartedly. Throwing people out of political parties because they liked a mean tweet. Come on now, fucking bitches.
Yeah, that's. And
it just goes to show just how far humanity has fallen in the last 40 years.
Yeah, well, and as a direct result of this, obviously, just like with Bloody Sunday in '72 and the beginnings of internment in '71 and things, that IRA obviously had this huge surge of people joining as a direct result of this. There was the rioting outside the British Embassy in Dublin as a result of this, which is real fun. Slightly relevant to now, fun little fact that I just found. British security forces, fired 29,695 plastic bullets in 1981, causing 7 deaths. And in the 8 years following the hunger strike, they fired only 16,000 bullets and caused 4 deaths because they were so scared of what was going on. Changed things in a very big way. It's the months after the end of the hunger strike were some of the bloodiest of the Troubles.
Yeah,
there was a lot.
Rightfully
justifiably so.
Yeah, there was, led 3 years later, it would lead to, I would say, directly to the IRA's attempt on Margaret Thatcher at the Brighton Hotel, which almost got her. They got real close.
These people were political prisoners, right? But it doesn't do justice to what they really were. A political prisoner is just someone that disagrees with the establishment. No, these were people defending their homes, defending their culture, defending their ideology from an invading force, right? Like, I hate to compare them to the Taliban, but metaphorically there's a comparison there, right? The U.S. invaded Afghanistan, the Taliban and whatnot, they fought off the U.S. forces, ran the U.S. forces out of town. The Irish haven't ran the other forces out of town yet. That's the difference.
Well, yeah, and I will say you're walking a tightrope there, buddy.
It's a metaphor. It's a comparative.
But I will say that, like the people of Afghanistan, the Irish have never been truly defeated. We've never actually given up. 800 years and counting.
I don't think either has ever invaded another country either.
In fact, actually, the Irish Constitution forbids any war for anything other than national defense.
Yep.
As it should be.
Yeah. Now, we do participate in international peacekeeping activities occasionally to protect humanitarian aid convoys and things. But generally, we also have to borrow everyone else's trucks and shit because we don't have any.
Don't they have like one tank that they only use for training?
It's like 4 or 5, but they're probably about 30 years old. There are a few though.
Probably really rusted too, because
they're not great.
That environment's not good on steel.
Well, there's a reason why there's a lot of guys who are pretty good in the Irish Army who wind up coming to the United States and joining the American Army. I mean, I was certainly not the only Irish national in my unit, and the guy who's Chieftain goes by Chieftain online. He was First Armored, I think, Tank Commander. He's also Irish born. Moran, yeah, Nicholas Moran. Yeah, he's also Irish born, served in the Irish Army, came to the U.S. and things. So we don't do any of this foreign intervention stuff. We really tend not to do that. The one time, in fact, we've ever even had a battle for our army was the siege of Jadotville, and that's legendary in Ireland. And that wasn't even against an enemy army; that was against a bunch of mercenaries.
Yeah, that was a legit one too. There's I think I saw a movie about that on Netflix.
Yes, the Siege of Jadotville. Watch it. It's actually, what I'm told, is very historically accurate. Obviously, I was not there because it was before I was even born. But I've been told by people who would know that it's actually pretty historically accurate in the sequence of events and just how outdated all of our stuff was. We had machine guns from World War One.
Yep.
I mean,
against FALs and
against an entirely well-equipped modern military and their mortars and everything, and still held out. But it's because you never beat the Irish.
No.
Sugar.
Yep. I'm saying the LP, they need to look into the Sinn Féin and take a lesson or two.
Well, the funny thing is like the after Sands winds up in the Dáil and stuff, you see this change with Sinn Féin and things into a much more politically oriented way of things. But they actually called their strategy, I shit you not, Armalite and ballot box.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Instead of carrot and stick, Armalite and ballot box. You don't want to let us have the ballot box, you're going to get the Armalite.
Which is not wrong. I don't want to red flag us and Fed post on the podcast, but
it's not like we're that far off from something very similar here.
Anybody wants to have that conversation in private, message me and I might Fed post it on Twitter later.
We're very much so in favor of at least having the conversation, because political speech is free speech, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Hey.
Well, there's a book out. It's from 2005. It's called Blanket Men. It's about the hunger strikes and things. It's written by Richard Ura, who was the public relations officer for the hunger strikes. And it's quite good. It also calls out Jerry Adams for his horseshit, but
that's Gerry.
Yeah.
Just for record, if you're gonna look him up. But all right, let's move on. I don't know which direction you guys want to go. You need to laugh. You need to laugh, right?
I could use a laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, we could use a laugh.
Okay. 2 Democrats say they want to mint a coin to solve the debt ceiling showdown and save the U.S. from catastrophic default.
All I can think of is that Patrick meme that I made for this. With the first, you just buy a really big coin, and then we take the coin and we use it to pay off our debt.
That's actually one of the memes, one of the political cartoons from when this was originally, this idea originally came up under Obama, and it's Obama with like this big, giant, humongous coin, and he's trying to put it in the back of a piggy bank. I'll have to see if I can dig that one up for you.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah. This article is from Business Insider. It's from September 29th. So that's 4 days ago. But Congress has 19 days. So I think it's like 15 days now to raise the debt ceiling before the U.S. runs out of money, defaults on its debts, and braces for an economic catastrophe. Democrats have yet to come up with a solution to keep the government funded, and Republicans refuse to help. Which I'm both okay with.
Yeah, I was gonna say the thing is, but the Republicans are going, but we're spending so much money. That's why we keep hitting the debt ceiling. And so if we maybe didn't spend as much money, maybe we could fix this, and we don't have to.
But at the same time, they're just as responsible for it. Look at all this shit.
Well, I mean, they are, but at the same time, like they are, but I just think it's funny that they're being villainized here. It's just hey, they refuse to help. Well, they're going. I mean, if I behave like the United States government, what I would be doing right now is I would already be $200,000 in debt, and I would then be going to the bank and saying, well, but I need another $150,000 and getting another loan, and then going to another bank and saying I need $150,000 and getting a loan, then going to another bank and going to another bank
while going to work and making $10 an hour.
Yes, and the reality is that if you behaved like government, you would be in prison.
Yes. Okay, but another solution is slowly gaining momentum in Congress, and it comes in the form of a $1 trillion platinum coin.
How do they even propose this with a straight face?
They're idiots.
I know. We'll make a coin worth $1 trillion.
We're talking, especially one of them we're talking about is Rashida Tlaib.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Tlaib is one of them, and Jerry Nadler of New York is the other one.
Which isn't a whole
lot. What a shock.
Yeah. There's a loophole in the law that dictates which type of coins can legally be minted in the U.S. and allows the Treasury Department to mint a $1 trillion platinum coin, deposit it at the Federal Reserve, and then continue paying its bills as normal. The simple solution would let Congress sidestep what Representative Bill Foster of Illinois told Insider was a, quote, silly rule that we make up for ourselves, a rule that requires Congress to vote on raising the debt ceiling every time the U.S. reaches its borrowing limit.
The government shouldn't be hitting its fucking borrowing limit.
Why the fuck does the government
fucking money
in the first place?
Yes. Yeah, spend less fucking money.
The fact that this comes up repeatedly, the fact that there has even had to be a vote, because we remember the first time that happened, right? All of us remember that the first time that it happened, when it came up that we were about to have to vote to raise the debt ceiling, that came up. And remember, people were talking about how America's credit rating dropped as a result of that. And we've had to do it, 4 times now?
Oh, more than that.
Yeah. It's an idea Representative Jerry Nadler of New York has long promoted. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told reporters on Tuesday that Nadler raised the possibility of minting the coin in a meeting with Democrats to bypass the partisan fights on raising its debt limit. In 2013, when Republicans were refusing to raise the limit under President Barack Obama, Nadler told Insider he was disappointed that the Obama administration would rule out, quote, one of the very few bargaining chips it has, referring to minting the coin.
That is
It's not a bargaining chip. That's not a bargaining chip.
No, it's a casino chip is what it is. It's a fucking token.
Michigan Representative Rashida Tlaib echoed Nadler's support for the platinum coins with a simple tweet on Tuesday. And the tweet says #mint the coin.
Okay, since 1960, Congress has acted 78 separate times to permanently raise, temporarily extend, or revise the definition of the debt limit. 49 times under Republican presidents and 29 times under Democratic presidents. Congressional leaders in both parties have recognized this as a necessity.
Minting the coin
from the Treasury.
Minting the coin is not new to Tlaib either. She suggested in 2020 that the Treasury direct the U.S. Mint to issue 2 $1 trillion platinum coins that would then be distributed to every American in the form of a debit card with $2,000 preloaded onto it to help people recover from the pandemic without incurring government debt. that's I have to read that again. I have to read that again.
Economic policy.
I have to read that again. Minting the coin is not new to Tlaib either. She suggested in 2020 that the Treasury direct the U.S. Mint to issue 2 $1 trillion platinum coins that would then be distributed to every American in the form of debit cards with $2,000 preloaded onto them to help people recover from the pandemic without incurring government debt.
Oh my God.
These people, the scary thing, though, the scary thing is that these people actually believe that they can just conjure value from thin air.
Hold on, let me do some math real quick.
Well, because I mean that's the thing that kind of is the cusp of this, right? Is that people don't understand. Yes, the government can print more money, but that doesn't equal more value. You're just cutting things into smaller slices. That doesn't mean there's more of them, right? Or more of it. It's just in smaller slices. So each little slice then is worth less and less and less. That's what you're doing when you're printing money. What these people honestly actually believe is that government can will value to exist. Because in order for the government to have enough platinum to mint $1 trillion coins, it would have to purchase that platinum with debt, which means there's no new value created.
Just for shits and giggles, she said 2 $1 trillion coins. For shits and giggles, 330 million, which is the estimated population of the United States, times $2,000 each, comes out to 660 billion.
So where does the rest of that go, pray tell?
Yeah.
The other $1.4 trillion.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the rest of this is just fucking fear porn. Talking about social security payments and blah 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 blah.
Social security is a goddamn Ponzi scheme that should have gone under years ago.
Not only is it not for people that don't understand at home, Social Security is funded by Social Security taxes. It's not funded as part of like the government budget.
So I want to point out
the government borrows from Social Security to help pay its debts.
Yeah. So what's happening
Social Security is funded.
You. Yeah. They're taxing you. They're taxing your income. They're taxing the things that you buy. They're taxing your property. They're taxing your car. They're taxing everything, right? Every piece of your existence is taxed. You're paying about what, a 56%? I think we figured out at one point 56% of your income is going to the government. And then on top of that, the one little section that isn't going to government, that's supposed to be going to Social Security that you can then pull back out, the government is also pulling from in order to fund itself. And then because they overspend beyond what they're bringing in from the taxes. So they go, okay, well, we'll grab from this now. And that's supposed to be your retirement fund, right? So they're now pulling from your retirement and then going, well, but if we don't raise the debt ceiling, Social Security is going to become insolvent.
But we can lower the debt by literally throwing $1 trillion into the economy.
Okay. Which I want to point out that if they made
it's totally not going to affect the value of your dollar at all. No way. No, not
if they were to actually try to mint a coin with actual value worth $1 trillion in platinum, that coin would weigh.
I was going to say, how much would that weigh?
31,862.4 tons.
If on like what, $1 an ounce type of coin?
No. A 1 ounce of platinum is $980.78.
Well, that's all that they need. They just put $1 trillion on the side.
But then it's not worth $1 trillion.
It's worth whatever they want because it's made up money in the first place.
Yeah, I would say the cash, the dollar bill that you can pull out of your wallet, that is only worth $1 because they say so.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing here. It's going to be made out of platinum, and it will only be worth $900, but they will say it's worth $1 trillion, and therefore it's worth $1 trillion.
I want the platinum that I have to match that value. So if they make a 1 ounce, $1 trillion coin, then the weight of my platinum should be.
No. See, here's the thing though, is that if you want your platinum to be worth $1 trillion, wait a couple of years. It's probably gonna be.
All I can think right now is freaking on Idiocracy when she goes up to the McDonald's kiosk. Yeah, I want a Big Mac and fries. That'd be $1,343,000.
Oh, this is the equivalent. This is the equivalent of what they did in Venezuela, right? Where they're just like, we'll just chop a bunch of zeros off the end.
They just chopped 6 zeros. They just recently chopped six zeros off their prices.
Yeah, for a second time. So like, we'll just chop a bunch of zeros off. See, there we go. Problem solved. Economic crisis averted. And that is the equivalent. This is the exact equivalent of that, because your money is nothing but a magic trick. It's nothing but a magic trick. There's nothing real behind any of this. This is all there's no real value moving. This is all simply people saying this much goes here and this, but there's none of this much. It's an arbitrary number they've made up. It's not. I could go into a bank account right now, and if I could hack a bank system, I could just say, I have 5 extra zeros at the end of my bank balance. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean I actually have that much money is actually out there, that I actually have that much money. But if I'm continue to spend it, I might as well have that much money because I'm able to gain value in exchange for that, right? But you would call that wrong. You would call that criminal. That's wrong. You never actually earned that much money. Exactly. And what these people are trying to do is that they're trying to go into a computer and just go, I don't like these numbers, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and just add more on the end and call it good. That's how it fucking works.
It's so bad. I hate government. All right, let's get these last 2 quickies out of here, and then I don't know which way you want to go. You want to talk about fire or you want to talk about butterflies?
I mean,
we'll save the butterflies.
What about? What about the third option? Because they're the schools. That's kind of a big.
We only got like 25 minutes left.
Yeah, the schools one's gonna take too long.
I want Derica here for that one because Derica is from Virginia.
Fair enough.
And homeschools.
All right. Fire destroys Bourbon woman's homestead. Zoning board says no to temporary home. So this is out of Indiana. A woman in Bourbon, Indiana says after her house burned down, she's been living out of a trailer on her property. Mm-hmm. Neighbors complained to the zoning board, and a member of the board says she's violating zoning codes. Quote, I spoke with the woman, and she says her house burned down back in May, and that insurance company she uses actually provided this trailer that she is living in. She said the zoning board came out to pay a visit and said that the trailer needs to go, but she doesn't know where to go. Quote, we're just temporarily out here in the camper. It's not permanent until we get the house built. That is Suzanne Aflobia, Afolabi. Aflobia. Okay. So Suzanne, she lives in the temporary home with her husband and a grandson. She's waiting for her insurance company to give her money for the new home here. Her house on the property caught fire back in May, and it's a total loss. Neighbors complained to the city, and now the zoning board wants her temporary home out of there. Quote, he came out and told me that I couldn't be here, but if I could get a variance, it would be no problem. However, it is a problem.
Maybe? A Fullaby? I think it's a Fullaby.
However, it is a problem. The board didn't grant the variance. The reporter who's referred to as I in this, called Chuck DeWitt, who sits on the zoning board. He says that the trailer is actually a recreational vehicle and cannot be a permanent house due to the zoning codes.
It's fucking temporary until she builds a new fucking house. God damn it! What the fuck?
Suzanne feels that the city is just kicking her while she's down, and the stress is taking its toll. Quote, stomach flu from being upset. Literally, my hair is really grayed from this. I've had depression. I mean, you lose your home you've lived in for 56 years. She added that she grew up in the home and took the property over and raised a family. An electrical fire in the attic took that all away. She says the city is now trying to get her out until the new home is built. The zoning board has agreed to revisit her variance issue formally October 11th. Suzanne tells me that others in the area have campers on their property, and she's being targeted unfairly. The zoning board says they're looking into the matter.
Oh, yeah. The universal government, go fuck yourself. We're looking into the matter.
Yes. Chuck DeWitt says that what the zoning board says it's unlikely that the variance will be granted, but we'll know for sure after the October 11th meeting. Quote, okay, this is a quote from Suzanne. She says, quote, you've got to be fair. If you're going to do something, do it for everyone. And it's a small town in which some ways is good, but in other ways, our town councils, our zoning boards, they have to quit favoritism and they have to stop taking rumor. They need to fact find. So I looked it up. I looked this up before. The small town's like 1,800 people.
Yeah, same size as the town I live in.
Yeah. So yeah, her property that she's lived on for 56 years. The house burns down, and the local government's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care at all.
Yeah.
And the only reason they're even complaining is because some Karen, some Karen decided to get a bug up her ass and complain.
Yep.
What kind of a subhuman piece of absolute pond scum do you have to be to look at this poor woman who's living in an RV on her own property after her house burned down, waiting for everything to get done so she can build a new home? And go
fuck you, no, move, you can't live
here.
Yeah,
and go, oh, I don't want to see that person enjoying themselves in a recreational vehicle. I need to do something about this offense. What kind of a human being does that?
That person should be made to question when they start their vehicles.
Exactly.
So you drive yourself to work, do you?
Yeah, drive yourself to work every day, do you? Same time, same vehicle.
Somebody want to read the butterfly article? My throat is
killing
me. The smoke from these fires is just fucking raunchy.
Do you say you don't want to read it, Andrew, or do you want me to?
No, I do. I want to read it. It's butterflies. I love butterflies.
I have news on the front of butterflies after we're done with this article.
Good news.
This one's also.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
This is also near and dear to my heart because I actually have a native butterfly garden planted along the side of my house that I intentionally did. So, yes, Kansas City may actually take 80-year-old Army vet to court over his butterfly garden. Dennis Moriarty, an 80-year-old U.S. Army veteran, spends afternoons on his porch with his dogs watching the butterflies, bees, and hummingbirds in the lush 1,500 square foot garden of wildflowers he's planted in front of his Kansas City home. The milkweed, coneflowers, and other native plants. I'm also very jealous that he has coneflowers and he manages to keep them alive. The rabbits keep eating all of mine. That's really starting to piss me off.
Shoot the rabbits.
If I wasn't living in the city.
Actually, Andrew, crossbows and archery equipment are legal within the city limits as long as your landlord approves.
Yeah, well, my landlord ain't. Anyway, and other native plants stand several feet
I can teach you to make a snare.
Oh, the problem is then I'd probably catch at least one of my neighbor's dogs, and I really like Charlie, and I don't really want to hurt him.
Get yourself a small live trap and ether to put it down.
No, I don't want to use ether. I want to I want to shoot them so I can eat them. I almost stepped on one tonight as I was. just before we got on tonight, I was walking along the side of my house, and it's not very well lit. It's nice and dark. But as I'm walking, I almost stepped on this adult rabbit who didn't move and hoped I didn't notice him until I almost like fucking kicked him, and then he took off. And I'm like, holy crap!
See what you do is you gotta get Rose a bow, and then she could stand on that back step from an elevated position, take the rabbit out, and then you could teach her to skin it and cook it.
Oh, that would be funny, except I would worry that she'd accidentally shoot either Ellie, the dog on the one side, or Charlie, the dog.
Yeah,
on
I don't
the
think your mom would be very happy about that either.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Lindsay would be happy either.
Yeah, Lindsay would be like, why did you give that little girl a deadly weapon? Because rabbits.
Because she's my daughter.
Well,
Yeah.
Andrew, I'll say this. If you ever really actually want to take care of the rabbit problem, give me about a week's notice and we'll arrange something.
And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna plant a bunch of marigolds between the rabbits and where my echinacea is.
All
But
right.
anyway, the milkweed, coneflowers, and other native plants stand several feet tall. Culver's root, button bush, and 10 other varieties spill over his stone retaining walls. That sounds lovely.
Sounds fantastic.
It's not only gorgeous, but beneficial, using less water than conventional grass, for one thing. Yet the city has ordered him to either cut it down or wind up in court. That's because Moriarty's flowers are several inches higher than the 10 inches allowed in the city code against common nuisance. With all the challenges Kansas City faces, gun violence, homelessness, crumbling abandoned buildings, the lack of affordable housing, trashy vacant lots, and so much more, we have one question. Code Inspector Leon Bowman said he issued Moriarty a warning and gave him 10 days to cut, quote, what any code inspector would consider weeds. It is not tidy.
It's
Fuck
not
you,
supposed to be.
You uptight fucking Philistine.
It's a natural wildflower patch that is specifically designed to feed the pollinators in the area. Lick my balls.
I'd be so pissed. And this is right. And this a couple of years ago, when I first got on this podcast, that was something that we talked about, was the fact that grass is the single most heavy consumer of water crop in the world. It is the most widely grown crop in the world, and it is the least used crop in the world. Lawns serve no real purpose. None, nada, zilch, zero, meh.
Yeah.
And yet this guy is trying to do something useful. Yeah, yard is fine. This guy is trying to do something useful.
Not only useful, but like wildly beneficial.
Incredibly beneficial, especially for native
#
species.
Save the bees.
Yeah, especially for native species. I mean, butterflies, there's actually like the whole reason I planted the butterfly garden that I planted was because I looked it up and found out that monarchs, my favorite butterfly, and honestly probably most people's favorite butterfly, monarchs do not land on non-native plants. They will avoid flowers that are not supposed to be here. So if you plant native wildflowers, and you have all of the milkweed that I have growing all over the place, if you have that, not only do you get the bebe monarchs, but then when they become beautiful butterflies, they have food right there. And this guy's doing exactly that, and
he's getting
shit on by local government but they don't like the way it looks.
Oh, it gets better.
If Moriarty doesn't cut the wildflowers, Bowman said he will be back with a summons setting a fine of somewhere between $75 and $150. If Moriarty doesn't pay, he'll get a warrant and a court date. If any code inspector really would consider these wildflowers weeds, that's the problem. And instead of tormenting a Kansas City and doing something positive, how about re-examining the code itself in a world in which the climate is changing? Going forward, many fewer of us will even try to make a lawn that looks like a golf course. Moriarty, a retired self-employed tradesman, has lived in his home in the urban core for more than 20 years. For many years, he mowed the 60-foot downslope on his front lawn. When it became too dangerous for him to do so, I decided to plant it in wildflowers for the benefit of our environment and our ecology, end quote. Moriarty doesn't want to trim the blooms from his thriving garden. Not yet, anyway. He doesn't want a court battle either. Quote, they need to change their codes to reflect the fact that we need to take care of our environment, end quote. He also wants a conversation with Mayor Quentin Lucas, who sent him a message promising some unspecified resolution after a tweet Moriarty posted about his predicament got more than 23,000 likes and 4,600 retweets from all over the world.
It's like 26,000. I'm looking at it right now.
One supporter wrote, "You've gone global, Dennis. Best wishes and support from Ireland. Hopefully thrown out of court and seen for what it really is. Admor." Another requested seeds so that she could start a Dennis garden of her own. Moriarty, who spent $100 a year ago to start his garden, said he will cut the flowers down to 8 inches, quote, after the first hard frost. To be sure they will grow again next spring and summer. He said his neighbors have already asked how he grew the garden so that they can do likewise. Moriarty noticed Bowman photographing his garden a week ago. He asked what the problem was. He told me, these are weeds. Moriarty said, they certainly are not weeds. Moriarty spent years as a volunteer planting urban gardens and cleaning up trash. Of course, rules are important to prevent neglected fields of weeds that attract rodents and other pests, but that is not what this is. If inspectors can't tell the difference, maybe Moriarty could explain it to them, probably slowly, with crayons. And if the code isn't flexible enough to allow any exceptions, then that's what needs to change.
Yeah. Amen.
They're not fucking weeds. They're flowers.
And even if they were weeds, so fucking what? It's his property.
It's his property.
Here's the interesting thing that I learned when I was planting my garden, because I was warned because of the type of plants I was planting. Most city ordinances that talk about weeds refuse to recognize native wildflowers as actual flowers that you might want to plant, and instead call them noxious weeds.
Jesus, this guy.
So if you plant
this guy hates
non-native
Donald
flowers,
Trump so bad. I'm scrolling down his timeline on Twitter. He hates Donald Trump so bad.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
But if you plant non-native, so potentially invasive flowers, those are almost universally recognized as flowers. So if you make little flower boxes in your yard and you plant all of those, oh, that's a flower garden, totally allowed. But if you make a flower box in your yard and then you plant a bunch of native, non-invasive, beneficial for the ecology of the area wildflowers, those are called weeds.
Yes.
Yep. So, a couple weeks back, you guys remember I missed that episode because I rolled my tractor because I got that letter from the city saying, hey, cut your grass or we're going to fine you a fuckload of money.
Yeah.
They weren't bitching about the length of the grass in my yard, because the length of grass in my yard was like 8 inches and the city code says 6. They didn't really care about that. What they cared about was the fact that one of my gardens had a dozen sunflowers that had grown up over 6 feet tall.
Let's see. Let's see.
They're
this
fucking
is
sunflowers.
On the post about this, he says across the street, Section 8 house building with litter and 15-inch grass. So that's across the street from his house. That is way over the 10 inches allowed under the law, right? Still has not been cut, according to him.
So, but with my thing, what I'm going to do, and I've already sent the letter to the city, and this is going to be great when they come back. I announced my intention to convert that entire upper slope that they were bitching about into a butterfly garden using natural wildflowers, native wildflowers, milkweed, and sunflowers. So they bitched about a little 6 foot by 6 foot sunflower bed that I had planted along with my strawberries, because the sunflowers come up after the strawberries. So they're going to bitch about that. I can't wait for the fight next year.
I think you should let it grow and grow and grow and build a ghillie suit and then
Just set up in there.
Just set up in there.
Play Welcome to the Rice Paddies with the inspectors that come by.
As soon as they come by, Fortunate Son starts playing.
that would be
No,
I mean, but that's the thing though, is like there's in Wisconsin, you can actually legally convert a section of your property to like prairie restoration if you're in a prairie area. And you're allowed to legally convert that to prairie restoration, which means you're planting native grasses, you're planting native flowers, and that's it. And this area is dedicated to prairie. Mm-hmm. You don't have to pay taxes on that section of your
land.
Yes,
it's also a big thing in Oregon. They have a conservative easement allotment, I think is the right term, and you get property tax breaks and all that good stuff for restoring an area to, native grasses, native trees, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that: is once you do that, the DNR has the right to come and inspect it, monitor it, and force you to continue to maintain it. At will.
Again, that's the flowers, the RV, and the hunger strike, the IRA thing that we talked about. It all comes down to the same thing, and that's property rights.
Yep.
It all comes down to property rights. Leave people alone. This is their home. You have no right to it. There's no outside authority has a right to dictate what you do on your land, in your home, in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's there. Actually, what's funny is my next door neighbor. He owns a bunch of properties. He has a bunch of rentals that he owns. He just bought a house here in town that he's redoing completely. And it's funny because he's, for the most part, he's pretty hardcore Republican. But he was telling me about like the fact that he's like, but I redid the basement, right? He did it's a full finished basement that he put in there. And he's like, I redid the basement, and I was in the middle of doing it, and a city inspector showed up and said, well, you have to have a permit for that. And he's like, why? Who's ever going to see it? It's in a basement.
It's his property. I mean, fuck them.
He was told that under city ordinance, if you hang a drywall or take a drywall down, you need a building permit for that.
Yep. That's how it is here. If you open drywall, you have to have a permit.
The dumbest thing, and he goes, and he said, and keep in mind, again, this guy's a pretty hardcore statist, hardcore Republican, and he goes, and I looked at the city inspector, I went, so you're telling me the city owns my house? And what? He's like, so the city owns my house. If you can dictate what I'm allowed and not allowed to do, and when I'm allowed to do it, and everything else, then you own it. I don't own it anymore.
No.
And I point out, I said, well, you're also paying property taxes, which is rent for it. So really, the government is your landlord. You're just leasing.
Yep.
And he was like, yeah. He was like, I didn't think that way until recently. He's like, and now increasingly, I can't stand this. This is ridiculous. There is no better recruiter for anarchism than the United States fucking government.
Oh, the actions of government is who turned me into an anarchist. So, on that note, let's get out of here. Throw some plugs.
Buy Derica's book
and her crochet pattern. Check out
crochet pattern.
Bad Moon Hemp. Crystal is putting that stuff out. Yeah.
Her beard oil is freaking fantastic. It will permanently improve your beard. It is definitely worth the money and absolutely awesome.
Check out
also,
RTA.
Yep, RTA magazine. Some cool stuff in there. There's always really good articles and things. I think Derica's written for it, hasn't she? Too. I think she has. I think she said that she'd also written for it. Also, speaking of beard oil and stuff, if you want to have some wonderful smelling beard shampoo, conditioner, beard oils, a beard straightener, all sorts of cool beard stuff, and you want to care for your beard like a Viking and have it smell absolutely amazing, go to thebeardstruggle.com. Use code InkAnarchist15 when you do that, and you get 15% off, plus you support me, which is super cool of you.
Yeah. Anything else on that note?
Just we have a Rumble channel. Come and check us out. Follow us over there.
Yeah. Do what he said.
Rumble, Odyssey.
Rumble, Odyssey. Just try not to only support things on YouTube or mainstream tech, just because they suck. I mean, I can't put it any more succinctly than that. All they want to do is shut us all up.
I'm currently working, by the way, so that everybody knows, I'm currently working on getting designs and hooking up with not only graphic artists, but also a printer for some t-shirts for the podcast. And I might do one now that is a Anarchy Among Friends roundtable discussion. Mainstream social media sucks.
There you go.
And has our addresses for the other stuff on our QR code or something. I might do some of that, but there is, I promise, swag actually coming. I am working on it right now.
Yeah. On that note, let's get out of here. And I guess we'll just catch you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.